It is literally just a
Wizard.
piece of plastic on a hinge that you can do up and
The
down.
simplest things amuse me so much, Dre. You should get a napkin and just start waving it in front and just watch me go, ghosts! You Gotta Check This Out was our last best hope for podcasting. A self-produced endeavor located in neutral internet territory. A place for free discussion about nerdy passions with Mike, Dre, and all their guests. A shining beacon in cyberspace, recorded bi-weekly via Zoom. It was the dawn of the second season, the year Babylon 5 haters, lovers, and newcomers come together. Listen in as we discuss key episodes from Babylon 5 Season 2. The year is 2025, and you gotta check this out.
Welcome back to You Gotta Check This Out with Mike and Dre and a special guest. We keep this going because for those that don't know, the premise of the show is something you gotta check out. We are on to Babylon 5 Season 2 episode, I don't know, I'm gonna say 38, Mike, because I can't do math in my head. That'd be what,
Yeah, you
16?
can call it episode 7 of season 2. There's like so many numbering systems we have to use for Babylon 5. Does it go by number of episodes in the full story? Does it go by season? We'll just give whatever feel at the time and, let you figure it out.
So one question I have, Megan, before we get going, how much Babylon 5 did you have before this, and how much have you seen since Mike sent you his one? He knows how to do emails so well. Mike, for some reason, is really good at making professional-looking, good emails that he sends out to guests. So how much Babylon 5 before that email and after that email have you consumed?
I watched 0 Babylon 5 beforehand, and I have watched 1 episode of Babylon 5 since.
You are the perfect, like that. That is what, like, here's the thing. I'm a scientist in theory, right? Computer scientist. We'll take it.
You're a scientist. You're count.
Sure.
I tell everybody you're a scientist, Trey.
Well, it's true, but I just laugh. I'm like, computer scientist. I'm like,
you say, back off, man. I'm a scientist.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, man. It's like the best phrase to use.
But with that being said, wanting like the perfect experience, being like, I want someone who had never seen this to an experience for this, the podcast. That is a hard get. And so before we get going, Megan, what did you think of this episode?
No, I was watching it and I can't decide what I think about the episode.
Fascinating. Okay, well then let's everybody buckle up.
High level uncertainty right out of the gate. I love it.
I'm like, I can't figure out whether I liked it and I want to watch more, or if I was like, nah, I'm good.
I think by the end of this talk, we're going to revisit that question. And the key of it is, will you watch any more episodes? Not if you liked it or not, just will you go back in?
More episodes?
All right. Now, the good news about how this podcast has been structured is, yes, we try and give the guests and the listener 1 episode. We'll try and give you as much context as required so that you don't have to watch the whole show. And so the last episode we did was Hunter Prey. And the good news is we have a regular segment previously on. We'll catch you up on anything that people are listening to the podcast have missed out on. But Mike, this is probably the shortest gap we've had in episodes in a while. We only have 2 episodes. And so, Mike, do you want to do it, or should I do it on the previous 2 episodes?
Usually I say something, then you jump in over
I thought
me,
we
and
should
then I
just
try
go
and
at the
talk
same
right
time.
over.
So ready, let's start.
Yeah, okay.
1, 2, 3, go.
The first
and
one
then
is episode 36.
Sorry, Megan, thanks for putting
all
up with
the
this.
honor lies.
Previously on Babylon 5.
All right, so I'm going to win this one to start out with. Episode 6, They're All the Honor Lies. In this one, we see Ivanova once again getting put into a lesser position on the station, the gift shop, which plays a B-story role in this, but I basically just zeroed in on that because this is the one where they have the Babylon 5 bear at the end floating in space as a kind of inside rip on DS9.
There are 2 funny notes on that. So yeah, they make several cracks at Deep Space Nine on that, as well as like that was actually a gift to J. Michael Straczynski, and he said he didn't like cute. So like a friend gave him a cute bear to celebrate Babylon 5, and he's like, I hate it, and he destroyed it on the show.
Yeah, the main story in that episode was the one where Sheridan was framed for killing one of the Minbari warrior class because they were trying to get revenge on him for the previous wars against the Minbari.
There was a lot of weird. Yeah, man, that would have been a good episode to do. So I'm actually going to cut us off to say, by the way, there's good homework for the listeners. There, Alviana Lies, episode 36, good one to listen to. One after that we missed, a very fascinating one, and now for a word.
Yeah, this is like a notorious episode because it has an in-shot, like in Fight Club, kind of where they show the Psi Corps from Earth is inserting things into news broadcasts, like you can trust the Psi Corps.
Yeah, it is the you got a screenshot of it in our notes, Mike, which is awesome. It is the Psi Corps is your friend, trust the Corps.
Yep, that's right, and it was banned in France because they don't allow any kind of subliminal messaging, even if it's part of the actual show and baked into the plot.
So yeah, we have and basically that one is a camera crew comes on board, watches a major conflict, and a kind of in-universe thing that we are refamiliarized with is that Earth is slowly descending into fascism, and the main news thing is definitely starting to tilt towards that. People going to Babylon 5 and definitely going, is this worth the money? Maybe it was at one point. Here's the bad things we saw. So that's a fun thing because Earth's media slowly getting corrupted and turned into Fox News is a major through line in Babylon 5 that happened.
Fuck that one real fast.
Yeah, that was
it's the text. It's not even the subtext. The more the series goes on. This one is really cool too because they filmed it all like documentary style. It came out of nowhere after like a whole season and a half of episodes that are just normal plot-driven dramas, and then you get one that's all from a documentary style with like fake commercials put in from Earth and the Psi Corps. If you go back, you might want to watch just that one at some point, just because it's a cool, different thing for an episode.
I didn't realize this pattern with 2 episodes back to back. And don't worry, Megan, we'll get in and I'll bug the hell out of you about what you thought of the episode we actually watched. But the previous 2 episodes actually at the very end have a character that's like presented with like, and there's optimism, right? And the character's like, no. And that actually happens at back to back. I did not realize that, Mike, until we were recapping them, that the last 2 episodes before this episode literally end with a major character being asked, so there's optimism, right? And he's like, no, absolutely not. Which brings us into In the Shadow of Za'Ha'Dum.
I think, though, before we do that, though, I made a promise to past and future guest Karen Slater that I would not tell Megan what we do to guests on this episode. Megan, are you ready for today's Talia Winters memory pop quiz on the episode?
God, yes, I guess so.
All right, last time I tried to do the music all didactic, and that flew in my face and didn't work. So imagine there's really good quiz music going on behind you right now. The category for the first question is JMS's Greek myth obsession. What is the name of the ship that Sheridan's wife died on with Morden?
The Icarus.
Ding, ding, ding.
1 point on the board for Megan. Nice. All right. The category is his wife. Is the category. It's in honor of the Bechdel cast. What was Sheridan's wife's first name?
Oh gosh, what was her first name? Because in my notes I said ship, the Icarus exploded, captain's wife died, mystery, and that's what I wrote in my notes. And I didn't write her name.
I'd give that partial. I give that part. What can you say? Can you read that one more time?
Okay. It's ship, the Icarus exploded, captain's wife died, capital letters, mystery. Ugh, what was her name? My head. Right. Elizabeth is in my head, but I feel like that's not right.
It is not correct.
It is not correct.
Her name is Anna.
Anna. Okay. I was like,
okay. I go with Anna, so we can have a fight there.
Okay.
We can have another fight. Anna. All right. The next category is nerd numbers.
Yes.
And there's an alternate question if you want to skip this one. The question is, what sector did the wounded Narn arrive from at the beginning of the episode?
Oh, geez.
Okay, I told you this is skippable. I got a second if you want to hear the second one.
Yeah, let's hear the second one, because I have no idea.
Alternate question. The category is nerdier numbers. According to JMS on the DVD commentary, how many extras in Narn makeup were circling the set to make it look like a line of Narn were at custom?
Oh, why would I know that? 4!
The answer is 10. He said on the DVD commentary.
I thought he said 4. I misheard. I'm gonna have to relist. Oh man, that's worse. I tried to cheat and failed.
And if I got it wrong too, I'll never hear the end of it, Dre. Yeah, this works out both ways.
Yes, Latron 11. Anyway.
Yeah, nerdier numbers. All right, so category is Suck-a-Punchin' Across Babylon 5. Who suck-a-slaps the Captain Sheridan in the face in this episode?
Oh, yeah, the woman with the sharp eyebrows.
Oh, we'll
what
take
was
it.
her name? Yeah, oh gosh, I don't remember her name.
I think
But
that
I was
counts.
like,
Woman with the
wow.
sharp eyebrows.
I was
Talia
like, you
Winters.
are a very 90s strong woman character. That's
I-
all I could think about when I saw
I kind
her.
of want to just start replacing the names of characters in this. Like, you don't even need to watch the whole episode, Megan. If we could just like have Mike or Karen send you like a picture, like of a guest or someone, and just be like, name this person really quick, and that's their new name.
I think who was it? Vir, I think I labeled him as the dude with the fan hair.
Dude with the fan. Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, I wrote Vir, out war, fanned out hair.
All right. Do we have any more trivia, or is
One
that it?
last trivia
One
question to go. The category is World War II history.
Oh, I have a thing about this actually.
Oh, sweet! You can bring it now or save it up for the episode. See how you feel. But here's the question.
Okay.
What World War II battle is invoked as a comparison to the Shadows in this episode?
The Coventry Blitz.
Ding, 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 ding. Nailed
But I
it.
have a
Nicely
fun
done.
aside about that.
Excellent. Yeah, let's hear about that right
Okay,
now.
so my fun aside is that the town I live in is also Coventry.
Yes.
And they are like the sister towns to the city of Coventry in England. Like there's an actual relationship there. So I was like, when it came up in the show, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what the Coventry Blitz was. And I looked it up. I was like, is this real? So I looked it up. I was like, oh my gosh, like how random.
All right. So, Mike, are you ready to go on the episode or anything else first?
Go ahead, Dre. You can get us rolling on the plot.
All right. So again, we are sticking with the Centauri Narn conflict. For those that don't know, Centauri have peacock or fan hair. Love both of those. And Narn look like giant lizards. And that has been the basic focal point of this season. They are at war with each other. And we have discovered in previous episodes that the Centauri have basically made a deal with the devil, who does show up in this episode, who have super powerful hair clip machines that are winning the war for them. But no one else knows about this yet. Maybe that's important to this episode. Sorry for foreshadowing what we're already going to talk about. But the start of the episode is a bunch of the Narn are injured and Babylon 5 has offered refugee-like status to them, but they're getting overwhelmed. And just to kind of stick in the Star Trek versus Babylon 5 universe, Star Trek is, future society, teleporters, holodecks, replicators, abundance. Babylon 5 is scarcity. So it's basically saying, hey, we have limited resources. This station doesn't have enough. People are getting upset. Even the doctor's going, hey, I can't be mean to these people. It's like, but we do not have space. The previous episode has mentioned, we heard that like Earth is saying they're having a budget cut, and it gets meta, as Mike already mentioned in the director's commentary, where they didn't have enough actors to properly portray this scene. So they literally had actors walking on a loop to say, we have too many refugees. They did just have 10 or 4, I believe Mike is correct with 10, doing a loop to show it off because this show was on a shoestring budget.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up what was the exact dig that they had on Deep Space Nine,
Because there was something Deep Space franchise is what.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, we're not some Deep Space franchise. Like, oh my God, that is so on the nose, Ivanova.
And kind of cheating on my fishbowl thing, Megan. What I could say is I can see that this initial scene, like if we're versed in the Centauri Narn war. Like this plays along nicely, but if it's like your first introduction to it, yeah, having like 10 extras walk in a circle isn't quite portraying some of the previous like awesome scenes we like fans of the show are familiar with at this point.
Yeah, I asked if Megan picked up on too much of that yet with the Star Trek versus Babylon 5 comparison. Like, are you much of a Star Trek person?
I don't do a lot of sci-fi.
Okay.
I'm more of a fantasy person, and I would say probably like with TV shows, my favorite sci-fi show is probably Battlestar Galactica. Like when I watched that for the first time, it blew my mind with all the political undertones and whatnot. So yeah, any sci-fi stuff, unless it's super obvious and on the nose, is not obvious to me.
Yeah, well,
By the way,
Battlestar Galactica is actually something that I'm surprised we haven't talked about much at all yet on this, because that is a clear parallel between Babylon 5's all the political machinations and the grand space drama and what they did with the story across many arcs, and actually came to a solid ending with both series.
and I was going to make the easy joke. Like Babylon 5, we make a lot of jokes about how prescient or on the nose it is. In regards to Battlestar Galactica, the easy joke is like, oh yeah, genius tech person basically falling in love with an AI and dooming humanity. Ah, come on, that's too outlandish, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that just isn't as outlandish as it once seemed on the show.
All right, now we do get to this next scene. After I describe it, I want to hear a bunch because this is a famous scene and one of my favorites. So good old fan hair meets. Do you have any colons for the devil for Mr. Morden?
I don't think I had any about him. I wrote, Vir at war, fanned out here, wants to restore Centauri Republic, does not like the dude he's talking to.
That is true.
Take it, Trey.
Basically, what we have is Mr. Morden. The backstory for people that may not know is works with the shadows. He is a liaison for a super ancient race. Babylon 5 drew a lot from Lord of the Rings, so this is very clearly like the Sauron
The ring
kind of
wraiths and
analog.
everything.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
like I know Lord of the Rings pretty well. So.
Yeah, so
Fantasy.
Yep.
Yeah, fantasy.
They're the ancient, they're the ancient power. Mr. Morden, yeah, would be like a ring wraith, and
Okay.
Londo is like our flawed character that has made a deal with the devil to like beat up the Narn, and Vir is a Jiminy Cricket character that tries to, tell him, hey, you don't need to do that. So he's been set to make Mr. Morden, and Mr. Morden's clearly trying to corrupt him. We got good old like Frodo basically being like, fuck off. And I do love it because like the full thing for people who haven't watched it, Mr. Morden, his like trick is he's like, what do you want? And it's almost hypnotic. In previous episodes, actually the episode with Karen, we discussed this. Sort of Mr. Morden will just say, what do you want? What do you want? And then for whatever reason, people kind of crack and like reveal too much. And he keeps trying to do that trick with Vir, and Vir's like, I want your head cut off and put on a spike, and I want to wave at it. And you're like, dang, because Vera's like the noob kind of character. So this is an amazing scene. And then when he leaves, he does do like a little finger wave, which
He has a lot of, going to the Lord of the Rings, he got a lot of Samwise energy in this scene in general, between him and like being loyal to Londo through everything.
Oh yeah, I could see him as a Frodo or Samwise character as time progresses for sure.
Yeah.
So how did this
look up into your lifeless eyes and wave like this?
I was like, damn, dude, that's cold.
Yeah.
How did this scene play for you in terms of like liked it, want to see more, or like what the heck am I watching?
This dude, the other one was like clearly gonna be a character in the episode because it was the first episode of Babylon 5 I've ever seen. I didn't know if he was like a main character or not. I think I assumed he was a main character. So I was like, these guys are clearly in conflict for some reason. And just from hearing names of like different types of people or races, I was like, okay, there's war here and politics and whatnot. Like, where is this gonna go with this episode?
Yeah, Veers and Londo, the guy with the fan hairs, have aligned themselves with Morden, and by this point of the show, Londo, the other guy, is starting to regret because they just are going so hardcore against other races and taking over and committing genocide across space because of their alignment with the shadows. So this is Veer kind of like saying, yeah, I'm not on board with this, and that's where my character is going to go. At the end of that scene on the DVD commentary with JMS was talking about that he tried to go over, there was actually 4 questions throughout the series that he wanted to have. The big one was the what do you want that Morden asked, who are you, where are you going, and why are you here? And it was so funny listening to him get lost in his own thoughts on the commentary, because he got really into, well, what do you want is like the shadows and chaos and avarice and how it gets into it. And who are you? That's like all the other races are who are you. And then he kind of trailed off and went into the next scene without even trying to explain what the other two were.
Three on the defense.
To be a nerd and to be defensive, what I'll point out is the DVD commentaries, which are a blast. We keep shouting out your local library, which probably has the Babylon 5 DVDs. Annoyingly, the way to watch it. You can watch it for free on Tubi with ads. You can purchase it on Amazon if you need to stream it quickly. The Blu-rays were re-released, but I do not believe they have the special features. So the way to buy it is to either buy a used copy of the DVDs if you want to own it, or go to your library. Lots of them have it, including some of the Chicago ones. The DVD commentaries were recorded either after season 4 or after season 5. So just to be clear to people listening, I'm standing up for my boy JMS. The reason he starts rambling is he is an author in real time trying to explain the episode, something maybe we're doing, while not trying to spoil it. And as he starts going, I think he realizes he's in spoiler land, and he could either gracefully bow out or ramble on. And I respect the ramble on instead of gracefully bow out, because I've been there myself.
After reading his biography or his autobiography, I can really see that, because he comes out, he says he's the biggest introvert, hates talking to people, hates like interacting, and is always like inside his own head all the time. So yeah, that could definitely be a factor there.
Yeah. All right, now we get on to another amazing scene with some of the best technology the 90s have to offer. I'm going to say, in terms of like world building, something we've been doing, Megan, on the show, it's kind of talking like how good JMS is at lore versus not. And we give him a lot of credit because he was doing this in an era where trying to make an episodic show wasn't really done. So he has to toe that fine line of have his people say a lot of stuff that's maybe just overly verbose while also trusting his audience. And he even says on the director's commentary, by the way, Mike, shortly after this episode, he starts getting like the reins to do what he wants. So he was getting a lot of notes. Don't forget to explain this. Make sure to have this type of character to like do whatever you want. So, but we're still in that territory where he's like overly explaining. So in this scene, we meet our captain, Captain Sheridan. We meet our chief of security, Michael Garibaldi, who is Seth MacFarlane, and
Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd is what you've called him. Or
Dan Aykroyd in the back, Seth MacFarlane in the front.
Or Bruce, also, knock
Bruce Willis all around. No, Bruce Willis from the top down.
All right, now that being said, so they're talking, and we discover that Anna Sheridan, who, mystery, right? Sheridan is basically saying, hey, my wife died. I've got a bunch of her old stuff. I'm finally going through it. I'm going to get rid of it. And Garibaldi's like, hey, it's a normal thing to ask your friend to look through their dead wife's stuff, right? Of course it is. We have a wonderful future holographic or like video screen where he's looking through stuff. And then he randomly just goes, hey, that person, I recognize them. And Sheridan goes, you can't recognize that person. They're dead. And Mr. Morden, the guy that Vir hated, is on screen. And so now
I'm going to include this in the notes because this picture looks like a 90s interactive game. Like it looks like it looks like I just want to click on some of those buttons and to see if I want to like pick up something that's behind Morden and use it to see if I can open a door somewhere else,
The graphics are very PlayStation 1. Mm-hmm. Was what kept going through my head. Like when I watched the intro, I was like, this is very PlayStation 1. And I found that extremely amusing.
Well, that means they were like, 2 or 3 years ahead of their time.
Yeah.
I mean, and that, by the way, just let's on things that on things we are surprised we haven't talked about, Mike. So, Battlestar Galactica, you're right. I'm surprised we haven't done more comparisons. Amigo. So this show, part of the way this show was able to get made is that traditional shows like Star Trek used models, and those were expensive to build and look good. This was one of the first shows to embrace CGI with Amigo computers. And so that was why they were able to get away with it. And it's funny because like at the time it looked nice and futuristic, but with the benefit of time, right? It's bizarre where any of us parents can go to YouTube and like a free show with a bunch of weird stuff that our kids might want to watch has better graphics than this did. So that's a interesting part. And that, I'm curious about that, Megan, like age-wise, right? Because I think you don't necessarily have the same nostalgic factor for like 90s.
I wasn't old enough for Babylon 5.
Oh my God.
So sorry.
Anyway.
So
I saw it in college, so different age groups.
In the mid, so I was a 90s kid. So, like in the mid 90s, I was watching Nickelodeon. My dad was the one who always had Star Trek on. He loves Stargate SG-1. I thought he watched Babylon 5, and then I mentioned it to him, and he was like, I've never seen it. And I was like, you watched Star Trek. How have you never seen Babylon 5? It was like in the same lineup. Like I remember seeing commercials for it. So like all I knew was that it was this sci-fi show in the 90s.
I think your dad was in the majority on that one.
I absolutely love, by the way, because this is the correct way to handle nerddums, where you get these silly little feuds inside of nerddoms, right?
Yeah.
Old for super old. This is a super old CS1. VI versus Emacs is like a classic one. That
Yep.
doesn't mean anything to you. Congratulations, listener. You passed being like a cool person. But so like Star Trek versus B5, that was like a feud.
He's a
That
scientist. He knows what he's talking about here.
Okay. But Babylon 5 versus Star Trek was a real feud. This episode even has, as Mike noted, a couple references to
I
it.
had no idea.
And but so the funny thing is, if you're someone who's not like in the fandom, you're like, yeah, they're basically the same, right? And they're like, how dare you, blah 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 blah.
How
But the
dare
reality,
you?
yeah, the reality is like, no, you're right. So yeah, as we kind of mentioned, the show don't tell, tell don't show thing. JMS does kind of wrap that up. But anyway, back to the original episode. So we have been presented that Captain Sheridan has found out that somebody who is supposed to be dead is alive, and more importantly, that somebody dead, Mr. Morden, might know something about his wife, and very much a fugitive situation. We got our Harrison Ford. He is going to find out what's going on. But Mike, as we're prone to do, Megan, you're not used to this, but me and Mike are used to this. We have an amazing A plot going on. So what should we do but break it to see what Talia Winters is up to?
Yeah, it's the
And
usual Talia Winters odd side plot. Last time we did this, like Gilbert Gottfried entered in the conversation.
there was a part written for Gilbert Gottfried, and he wasn't able to do it, although Mike was able to do a great impression. Went to someone else, but it's a trip. But yeah, what we have going on here is actually some good side story going on, good world building, which is this random nice looking guy is asking Miss Winters to come meet with the Ministry of Peace. Apparently his name is Pierce Maccabee.
Pierce Maccabee from the Psi Corps.
And is he Psychor or is he Ministry of Peace? I thought he was just that. I
It
didn't
is
think he was a
Ministry
Psych-
of Peace, that's right.
But he does have an armband. Like Psychor has this little pin. And he's like, hey, you should come. We're up to good things. Let's check your Thadon levels or whatever. And she's like, cool. Should we get back to the real plot? Let's get back to the real plot.
Yeah, it's such a British ministry naming, the Ministry of something or other. It always sounds so foreboding. The Ministry of Happiness and Good Feelings. Don't go there.
Eesh. All right. Again, we got a little filler. So we come back to Dr. Franklin, and he is tired. And it's a little interesting where he does meet with Ivanova. Ivanova says, you've been up 36 hours. How has he been up 36 hours? Interesting. Get some sleep, which is good, just a little character building. And, we actually discussed this on the Evan episode of the show, way back in season 1, Megan, as we're all familiar with, right? Where Evan noted that on older shows, we would like give things time to breathe or slowly do it. So we do have these random scenes of just like, here are two characters that might not normally interact. Let's interact for 5 minutes to see how they play off each other.
Yeah, well, that's nothing new to Babylon 5. That's kind of any series that's long going is going to see how any two characters bounce off of in different ways. Unlike Babylon 5 is usually a bit better about keeping it on the plot. This one kind of felt really it was a little bit thrown in there, like Ivana taking Franklin off the side a couple times.
All right,
Yeah.
our other great side story. This one was a better, worse Talia, Mike, and I'd be curious to see how it played to you, Megan, which is basically Talia Winters and Zach Allen, who is second in command for security, go to this, take back the
Cadet
night
haircut. I call him Cadet haircut all the time. He's
Cadet
got
haircut.
that like high fading over the side. He's
Like-
Cadet
like-
Do you
haircut.
think he looks like Willem Dafoe? Because
Yes.
that's all I could think about.
Yes. Yep.
He's
Okay,
Kaniki
I'm
from
not
Greece.
crazy.
And of course, what was his name? He was on Taxi. That's where I remember him from.
Yep.
But of course, yeah, yes. Oh man, he has sadly passed away. A lot of actors on Babylon 5 have passed away. Would love to have seen him with Willem Dafoe. And actually, I'm gonna have to, after the show's over, IMDb rabbit hole and see if they were ever in a movie together or a show. So yeah, Willem Dafoe with the haircut, the second in command, and Talia Winters go to this weird rally where basically it's fascism, and it's coded as such. It's not, it's
Oh
basically,
yeah.
and of course, I mean, JMS is fine with this. He's like, I'm just going to be, I'm not even going to subcode this. I'm going to be explicit. And then, but he also points out in the director's commentary in the show, this is how they get you, right? He's just like, hey, we're just worried about
Right.
peace. Hey, if you just see anything weird, just say something. And then, hey,
I thought it was written very well because you didn't get an overt we're tamping things down, but they kept talking about the more the words he was using were about controlling thought rather than endorsing peace. It's all about we're going to endorse peace by controlling this and tamping down this thought and tamping down this. Yeah.
And then the bumper on that story is Talia's obviously put off and like, nah, I'm not interested. But Zach is like, they're going to pay me $50 credits to do what I'm already doing. I'm good. So Zach's got an armband at the end, and we're gonna learn more about Zach too in the interim. So
that was an excellent way. It just shows how somebody is pulled into the night.
Right. I actually thought that was quite brilliant. I was like, oh, and there it is. They pulled him in with the money.
Literally, I'll jump at a little. It's not even a major spoiler. What they do with Zach's arc is great. So everybody should keep watching for that. But what they do with him is in one episode, they're like, hey, you haven't been filling out reports. And he's like, yeah. And they're like, well, here, all you have to do is corroborate one of your coworkers' reports. And they basically say a shop in Babylon 5 has been saying like anti-Earth things. And the end of the show is the shop has been shut down. So like that's like the start of Zach's corruption. It's exactly what you're saying, the bit by bit. Future episodes. But now, by the way, we've got all the side plots on. We can get on with the main, which is Sheridan's like, "Where's my wife?" Right? The Harrison
"Where's my wife" plot.
Yes. So we do get Mr. Morden is held up by security, and in the commentary, JMS does note correctly so that Mr. Morden acts like someone with two big bullies behind him. Shocker. Because as we know, and I think we know, we see in this, he's got two like invisible two predator aliens behind him at all times. So he's working with the shadows, the scary aliens. He's super scary. He doesn't fear anything, but security is like, pulls him over for a routine traffic stop as he's leaving. He's like, what did I do? He's like, I'm just going to go. And then like everybody pulls their guns on him. Sheridan is called security on Mr. Morden. And now in the next scene, we have him interrogating him.
Yeah, this episode blew away the Shatner Picard index for obvious reasons.
In terms of, and by the way, Mike, this would be the first episode. You've teased it. You've teased a little. Do you want to explain to Megan and myself? I don't know either, Megan. Do you want to explain even a little of the Shatner Picard?
Well, I want to know what this says.
Yeah, the Shatner Picard index is what I started since we moved over from Sinclair was the captain season 1 to Sheridan season 2. I'm trying to take on this new captain by seeing, hey, is he more of a Shatner or is he more of a Picard? I know those aren't the two actual names like characters and actors, but they fit the best. Shatner and Picard, come on. So if he does more diplomatic things, if he really it brings races together, if he solves problems, he gets Picard points for me. If he goes and either just kind of goes for sucker punching nonstop, intimidation, or just brash thing, or just goes for the green aliens all the time, that pops up the Shatner's points. So this one, especially as you can tell, this kind of blew the Shatner out of the roof for this as he was
sure did
more and more forward, more and more Shatner throughout the episode. I mean, right in this first scene, I took a picture for our notes, but he looks like he's ready to fuck up Morden so much in that picture.
Yeah, and he's described as a pit bull, rightfully so. He's got something, he's going to go for it. And I did. I love these two characters, and I don't think we get much. I don't want to give spoilers. This is a fun interaction, and for obvious reasons, these two characters can't interact a lot, right? So, love the interaction back and forth. And Morden is just being super calm. Sheridan is saying, "What happened to my wife? I thought you died." And Morden's got an answer for everything. Sometimes a little too convenient. Oh, I was outside the ship doing repairs when it blew up. Oh, I was picked up and I didn't think about this. Oh, I did the paperwork, but it hasn't gone through yet. All of these seem plausible, by the way, in any universe. And Sheridan is having none of it.
Yeah, I think I gave him a point every time he yelled out "my wife" in the episode, which I think that was the 10 points alone.
I actually like it. And to your point, I could see in the first scene with Sheridan, you're not supposed to like him. And the good news, as Mike is saying, is we're going to get that defended because we get lots of back and forth to kind of fill in the backstory that I think this show does. Sheridan's wife was an explorer, worked for IPX as a fill-in. IPX keeps repeatedly getting dropped in. They maybe were funding some illegal. They were episode number 1 for us on this show, Mike.
Back from Infection.
The infection was funded by IPX. IPX is this organization. They did one of the commercials on the previous show. So IPX is this weird organization, this shadow organization that funds exploration, and Captain Sheridan's wife was working with them. She went to a place called ZaHaDum, another thing we've heard a lot about, and allegedly her ship just blew up. That's the story we've been told. Clearly that is not the case. We're finding out more. And so Morden was also on that, as we discover this episode, and is now an emissary of the shadows. And Sheridan is trying to figure out what happened. Is his wife alive? What all is going on? So the good news is this kind of gets condensed. We've condensed a lot of the scenes. We've done all the subplots. We've condensed this. So the next kind of major move ahead that happens is Sheridan's keeping him in control, and Garibaldi, his chief of security, comes in and is like, dude, what the hell are you doing? And Sheridan's like, I gotta find out. I can't let him go. I'll do whatever I need to. And Garibaldi respectfully is like, here's my badge and gun. I'm out.
Respect, man.
Respect.
Yeah,
we got to give it to him.
He's had a lot of good moments recently and stuff we've been watching. This is another one where he gets it.
Now we get some more fun on the tertiary, which is Zach takes over for Garibaldi.
Acting security chief haircut. Doof, doof, doof.
He says it exactly that way, Mike. And then also Sheridan.
You are now acting security chief haircut, Mr. Haircut. Thank you. This haircut won't let you down. I know you won't, haircut. That's why I gave you the position.
Oh my God, Mike. That's at least third or fourth with Mike and/or Karen reenact famous Babylon 5 scenes if I get the time.
I got to be my own partner sometimes here, you know?
All right. Sheridan keeps pushing it. He goes to Talia Winters, our telepath, and is like, can you scan him? And we do find out that the telepaths have rules, right? The telepaths, they're not supposed to scan without permission. They don't do that, as we discover in another episode. Shocker. But he's like, fine. And then we also get a weird thing where Vir, who said he wanted Morden dead, comes up and is like, hey, release him. He works with us. And Sheridan, I love this I found more Picard in the index. I don't know if you gave him any credit, Mike, but the nice thing where he's just like, wait a minute, you're the Centauri Empire, your planet haircut. This guy's just to this. Why are you working with him? If it matters, you're going to have to tell me more. And they can't. So, flips it on him.
Yeah, I think that then just the sheer number of my wifes in the episode alone puts it over the edge.
And then, we also get but while we do get that cleverness, he also does do the thing where like, Veer's like, he's got diplomatic immunity. And he goes, well, I'm not charging him with anything. And he's like, well, then you need to release him. He's like, well, officially he's dead, so I don't have to do anything. And you're like, dude, no. So everybody correctly is like, absolutely not. We also get Ivanova, who's just, yo, what are you doing? And Sheridan is just like, I don't care. You got to let me do this. And everybody's like, all right.
Yeah, it just keeps going further and further with each one. But yeah, like I was talking to Megan about earlier, the show keeps throwing things at him. It's like, you're not doing this. Why are you doing this? So turn back. Yep.
All right. I felt like it kept throwing people at him, telling him not to do it until he found the one who would.
That was not intentional, but I'm going to give you a future spoiler.
Right?
Hand clap to you. No, the way you phrased it, he found the one that got him to do it. I don't think you meant to, but amazing work, Megan.
Yeah,
we'll keep going.
Well, it's because that was planted in there for people to pick up on. Megan's just good at picking up on stuff.
Now we get the absolute line cross, which was already in the trivia. So Sheridan says, Chief Security haircut. I can't get out of my head, Mike. Thank you. He's like, hey, move Mr. Morden from this cell to this cell. And then he says, oh, and Talia should be escorted from here to here. And he's making them cross paths. And this is a lot of world building and coolness together, which is we discover that the shadows, these characters that have been blowing up worlds that are working with Mr. Morden, they respond to telepaths. And Talia, Andrea Winters, I think is her name, gives some amazing acting. She screams out in pain.
I'm
As
so
she,
sorry. I laughed when that happened, and then I was angry that they used her like that.
it's correct. That's the both, and you're supposed to. It's completely unacceptable what they did in the show. I also feel I don't think, just to give defense, because we beat up on Talia a lot on this show, Mike. I do not feel her direction was great, or maybe the thought was to have her be over the top, and it just certain characters,
It,
Londo and Jakar can play over the top and it works. It just never quite worked with her.
well, never, because they always just have her screaming or reacting to getting like, psychically hurt in some ways, frankly, a lot of times. I was trying to think a lot for this episode about, people with psychic powers in sci-fi, and all I could think about with this scene is like, isn't she on the same ship as these shadows all the time? If they have that much of an effect on her, if she's anywhere near them, wouldn't she have been kind of picking up on this all the
I
time?
wish there was more foreshadowing to it,
Yeah.
Ah,
because like it was just like there was nothing.
yeah,
And then
because
like suddenly they started giving the glimpses and stuff, but like there was no indication, because what, this may be like halfway through the episode at this point, or maybe
Yeah.
more, and there's literally no indication that besides this guy somehow surviving, that there's anything up with him.
now the defense right is that that stuff's been planted in the show, and we've seen it before because there was a
Mhm.
scene, but it also in the nature of you got to check this out, right? That's the backstory you would have needed
Yeah.
ahead of
Mhm.
time
And
if
that's
you
kind of what
did.
I'm saying is because they have been, Morden's been on the ship in several episodes. Same thing with Winters several times. And the idea is that the shadows are always with him whenever he's on the ship. So they really didn't take the time to like foreshadow that.
I have two answers for that. The first, right, the boring, and this is not it's an excuse, but it honestly is like you need to work around that. Then is the budget, right? There really this episode needed to be more special effects with the shadows, but they might have had the budget for it because they actually do a fair amount of special effects with the shadows later in the episode. So
Mm.
like I agree, Megan. It would have made more sense. Like we know Morden, but it's like you do need to actually have some of those shadow clackings earlier in the episode, so the audience is like who's
Right.
seeing it
Like
sort
I
of.
think you could have even had people just reacting to his presence, and no special effects would have had to been needed. And you're like, why are people reacting to this person?
Yeah.
Some,
He's
yeah,
already kind of a creepy Rod Serling looking guy already, too.
Yeah.
but yeah, I agree with that. And then the like other notion, Mike's asking this notion, the telepath running in the shadows. In the director's commentary, what JMS says is the shadows they're invisible, and people ask rightly, why don't they run into people? And he in his
They're
defense,
fast,
he says
right?
they're basically like spiders or cockroaches and scurry. That's fine, but my personal point is they are psychically tuned, right? Because they respond to psychics. And what I kind of viewed it as is I think the shadows and Mr. Morden are basically able to like detect and kind of nudge people psychically to move around them, and to that point, Mike, avoid psychics, because psychics are actually rare. That's what we discover in the very, very first episode of the show with some world building. They were like, it's a big deal that Babylon 5 is getting a psychic assigned to it because they are super rare. In later episodes, Bester's going to say the same thing. These are rare, right? A super random thing in human evolution to happen that does not happen that often. So there aren't that many, and the shadows can normally just know where people are and not be near them. The reason they were in this case is exactly what happened. They have to stay by Mr. Morden. Sheridan is pulling all the strings, so that's why this has never happened before. It kind of works, but as we're noticing, the amount of over the top world building I'm having to do for it is that's where we kind of say, hey, there were faults with this. And I think it could have been a cool scene, but I think the bad acting, some of the special effects make it not amazing. We do end with it though, where Talia Winters does rightfully slap the captain,
Suck a
which was
slap.
I was like,
glorious.
heck yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that, so
Does
this
that.
made me think a lot about going back to the elevator scenes we talked about of her and Garibaldi towards the first few episodes of season one. It
Turbo
would
lift.
suck. The turbo lift. Yes, you got me that time. It's a turbo lift. It's not an elevator. So if you're a psychic and all you had to do was be near in proximity to something like this, isn't she is one of the few female characters on the show? she is getting hit on all the time. There is no way Garibaldi isn't constantly sending her mental hog pics all the time. It's like, yeah, I couldn't help it. I just thought of it that
That
way.
does happen. One of the early episodes, she like slaps him because she's like, ugh, or whatever, right? When he looks at her.
That must be exactly like she looks at him, he gives her a look. But like they brought that to the forefront now. It's like everybody is mentally fucking with her on the ship. How can she take that all the time? It's like that Jean Grey moment, and all like when you first get your powers, like, whoa, everything at once. Like she has to be getting all of that all the time.
Yeah, that's probably why she screams so much. So we're defending it a little.
Yep.
All right, now we finally do get to everybody's trying to talk sense into Captain Sheridan, and none of them are succeeding until Delenn and Kosh come up and they're like, "You have to let him go now." And he says, "What?" And we have a funny. I'm really curious how the scene played, Megan, because it's hilarious. So Delenn's like, "All right, so by the way, there's like godlike aliens that are still in the universe that had to fight off the shadows, and most of them left, but there's only one left."
Oh,
And
God,
he's
that
like,
story was so silly.
"Okay, yeah." And he's like, "Who then?" And Delenn like glances at Kosh, and it almost, I maybe I misremember, it almost looked like Kosh shrugged or something. And he's like, "Wait, it's Kosh?" So yeah, the backstory we're basically given is that the Shadows are an ancient race that almost destroyed the galaxy 10,000 years ago. A bunch of old aliens defeated them, but most of them are gone except for one. That one is the Vorlons. If we're going to beat the Shadows this time around, we can't let them know what we know, because otherwise they'll move and we won't be ready, and we need time to prepare. So you kidnapping Morden and beating the truth out of him means that the Shadows are going to attack early and we're not ready. And they don't know that we're not ready yet, but if you do this, they're going to have no choice. Mike, I was mistaken on the empathy blast. So in an earlier episode, Megan, another horrible acting alien, a Centauri, so not the fan, but bald, like randomly touches our captain and like projects a vision into his brain. And then she's like, "Okay, bye." And we're like, "What?" So we almost have the same thing where Kosh says to Kosh, our big like mech and countersuit ancient alien, says to Sheridan, he's like, "Look," or something, and like flashes green in his eyes.
He fires a green exposition light into
green exposition light.
brain.
I love it. He fires a green exposition light, and then we get a StarCraft 2 cutscene where Sheridan sees his wife on ZaHaDum with the ship. And yeah, so my top level question is, how did that scene play? Which I even liked better rewatching it, but then when I had to extemporize it to you, was like, uh-oh.
I don't know if I had a reaction to that. I was just like, oh, exposition. Okay. Got it.
That's not horrible. I'll take it. I mean, but yeah. All right. So this is what you said. We talked about Coventry. So we do get
yes,
some World War II history for those of us.
and I was like, oh, of course it's World War II.
He loves World War II. Yeah. And so basically, Sheridan is in the security area with security chief haircut, and he just randomly is like, "I'm going to talk to you about Coventry and how in World War II, Chamberlain knew this secret, but he couldn't reveal he knew this secret, or else something horrible would happen." And what I do, there have been a few scenes like this in the show, and what I do love is like the character being talked to doesn't at any point go like, "This is weird." Clearly you're going through something. Zach's just like, yeah, that's weird. And then
Captain's telling stories again. Gotta listen to Captain.
Yep. And then randomly Sheridan goes, "Hey, can you change the sensors in the one area we actually have a security camera?" Because we've noted this. There are security cameras missing all over the station. This one room has a security camera. Zach does it conveniently. To do it, he has to turn away, and briefly Sheridan sees the shadows that we have been seeing. And he's like, "Wait, did you see that?" And Zach's like, "What?" And he's like, "Wait, never mind. Disregard the story I just told you. Disregard what I just said. Let Morden go."
It's all very confusing. I kind of get why the Coventry story was put in there, because it's the philosophical, do you say something and save these people, but it can endanger millions of others? Or do you sacrifice the smaller group of people to save the whole. It's that philosophical debate of, it's the trolley question, right? It's you're going down the trolley, you're going to hit somebody, you can change course, but if you change course, something else bad will happen.
I mean, this scene really serves a good purpose, though, too. And that's as we get to really see Sheridan internalizing what everything meant that he just learned. So
that was a lot to take in, right?
Yeah.
So you're just like suddenly all this stuff was just thrown at you, and you're dealing with ancient races and shadows and like, what the heck?
Yeah, and he's been so bullish about everything this episode. Nothing's been able to turn him back. You have to say, what is it going to take? It's going to take something internal. How do you show something internal? Well, you're going to have to throw some exposition at Cadet Haircut for a little bit. Get a World War II metaphor so you can pull it in there.
Yeah, I mean, that works fine. And then, like I said, the funny thing aloud, is, of course, the two things that probably hurt this scene, especially if we're showing it to someone new, right, is the special effects at the time were probably pretty decent, definitely dated. And then also just from like a narrative perspective, it is very funny when you have a character talking to another character and they're like, well, that's interesting. But I will stress this isn't like a CinemaSins plot hole, because I think all of us have probably been in jobs, right, where there's a boss or a superior that says something and you're just like, well,
okay,
cool. I'm gonna go back. That's nice. So that's where Zach is right now. So, all right, now Sheridan does go tell Garibaldi. He's like, hey, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Garibaldi is wearing a glorious outfit. I do love it. And then Chief Officer Haircut comes back and is just like, hey, I got my band. I'm joining up with the Nazis. After you just gave your World War II metaphor, I wasn't listening. Honestly, you were kind of droning on, sir. It was very boring. I didn't learn anything. Hope this doesn't come back to bite us in the future.
See ya. Check out my new duds.
Yeah. And then we end with, Mike, on I want to say at least 60% of our episodes, if not more. I've noted that I think the episode can be strong, but sometimes they don't always stick the landing. This one I thought stuck the landing because a recurring subplot has been Kosh is saying he's going to teach Sheridan to learn. He's going to, Yoda him, right? And Sheridan's like, I'll do what you ask, but by the way, I'm changing. I don't want to learn. I don't want to learn about your race. I don't want to know about you anymore. Because that's how it started. He's like, let's learn about each other. And Kosh like, sure, whatever. And then now he's like, nope. Now I want to learn how to fight the shadows. You're going to teach me how to fight gods. And Kosh like, all right.
Yeah, and he's like, sweet.
But if he goes there, he will die.
Yes, if you go to ZaHaDum, you will die. Interesting. I wonder if we get back to that.
It's good because we have the resolution of the main plot, which is Sheridan letting Morden go. And then this is kind of like a good denouement after everything. Like he does the usual, apologizes to Garibaldi to close in that loop, which kind of also fills in for all the other people who were saying stuff about him. That's kind of a stand-in. And then these episodes have been almost notorious with me for Lord of the Ringsing, the ending, having an ending to, even in the regular Monster of the Week episodes, there'll be 5 scenes after they finish that plot. And it was kind of nice to Karn brought in, and after Sheridan went through this great growth period, okay, now he's ready to get the Yoda treatment from Karn. So yeah, I thought this is a good end of the episode. Right? Karnch. I said Karnch. What did you hear? It's like when you eat lunch with Karnch at brunch. It's a Karn brunch.
All right. Anyway,
I said what I said, and I meant what I said.
All right. So let's wrap up, Megan. The question we threw at the beginning of this episode: does this make you? Did you like it? Does it make you want to watch? And by the way, mixed is fine too. Split decision is fine by me.
So here's the thing. I started watching it, and I was like, "Oh man, this is awesome!" And then I went through, and then I kept going through, and I was like, I don't know if this is awesome. And then I got to the end. I was like, no, this is awesome. I want to watch more. I want to know what happens with the shadows.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I might watch more.
Well, we have great news. We have a podcast for you that just goes through key episodes of Babylon 5.
I'll just listen to the key episodes because I don't have time to get invested in a whole new TV show.
And you can hear, and it's I would say about 50-50, if not more, Mike. But Mike does reenactments of some of the stuff, and depending on the guest
your
actor,
reenactments sound great.
yeah, depending on the guest star, it's very hit or miss, or how good the acting is on the show, or how much time they have to prepare. So, Mike, all of yours have been amazing.
Oh, thanks, Dre. And podcasting with you has been such a treat so far.
Oh,
You bring out the voices in me.
I can't tell if that was sarcastic or not, but I'll choose to take it straightforward. All right, so we're at the end. We got the Megan stamp of semi-approval. I want to watch it, but I'm mad and I don't have time to. Which I love that so much. There's so many as an adult.
Really? The only shows I watch are I'm basically just watch shoujo anime, and it's a couple of shows every season, and that's pretty much it. I have like zero time on my hands.
Yeah. I'm using Andy to watch like old DC cartoons and stuff I wanted to go through with him, but that's like our time together. Yep.
And then I was going to say I was happy to find Taskmaster, because those Brits with their 6 episode series or 10 episode series, I'm like, God bless you. I don't have time for 90s 22 episodes, 42 minutes, where like some of the episodes them just talking about brunch or something.
I went to watch, I don't know why, but in my head, I was going to be in for like a solid like 20 to 23 minute episode. And then I started it and saw it was 43 minutes. And I was just like, oh no, do I have time to watch all this? So I didn't know I don't know if I budgeted my time accordingly for this. And I should have known it was going to be a 43 minute episode. I just didn't think about it.
Because it's from the 90s. Yeah, we forget about stuff like that.
Well, coming out of this, you'll know what you want to watch going backwards or forwards with it, too.
Yes.
Because they have like some foundation for it now.
And refresh me of the show's title again, that you mentioned that was much better than listening to Ivanova argue.
Oh, Long Story Short. Oh, yeah. I love Long Story Short. So the thing to know about that show is that it is very, very, very Jewish. Like, if you're the type of person who watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and you're like, this is really fun and it's funny and I understand some of their references, you might not get the humor in Long Story Short. Like, it's very niche and very specific. But it's an incredible show around a family, and it jumps forwards and backwards in time to tell the story. It's by the creator of BoJack Horseman, and it's animated. But he just jumps back and forth to tell the story of this family. That is probably
my all-time favorite cartoon.
So good.
I love BoJack Horseman.
If you listen to my Geek Out episode about anime, it's just me talking about anime for like an hour straight. So like I could talk about this stuff for hours. But yeah, it's really funny. It's heartfelt. It shows the complexity of families and relationships. It's one of the few shows I've seen deal with COVID really well. Like, it doesn't just like be like, and we're going to pretend this never happened. Like, it deals with it head on, in a really funny and great way. So yeah, I enjoyed it immensely.
I gotta check that out. I'm already with the BoJack Horseman connection. I was looking into it. Now,
any questions really about the humor? Any questions about any of the humor? Just ask me and I'll tell you. Because
We'll start a text chain.
Just shoot me a message and I will explain it to you. Because in the first episode alone, like, it just goes so deep into things that, like, if you're not Jewish, you literally are just not going to know some of the jokes. It's just then, of course,
the nice flip side, right, is like, because people are capable of doing this in theory. Because something we do on the Nerd Show quite frequently is like talk to over entitled fans, like, you can watch a new thing and then you can use that as an opportunity to learn things, and not just assume it has to cater to you and give you everything. So I love it.
Yeah. So it's not like like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel threw in a couple of things where like I'd watch it with my husband and like they'd throw like some more niche Yiddish in it or something, and like he wouldn't get it and I would. But like mostly it's very high level, like things people have seen in pop culture. But yeah, this one goes deep into like Jewish practices and mentioning different things, and there's jokes about bar mitzvahs and candle lightings, which is like a thing, and it was hilarious. And yeah, it was good. It's good.
I was not expecting you to come with the like, by the way, this scene that didn't play, here's a better version of it. That's amazing. Amazing work. You did good on the quiz. I don't think we have a leaderboard yet, because I think we've only done the quiz twice, right, Mike? But I mean, that means you're on the leaderboard for sure.
Yeah, the leaderboard.
It's like it's not much of the leaderboard, but you're a big part of it.
Yes.
What I was going to say, like learning Mike's backstory. So it is fascinating. Mike's been like, I have an amazing friend to have on the show. And I'm like, love it. And the friend gets on the show and he's like, nice talking to you for the first time, or nice learning your last name. And I'm like,
yeah,
what? I'm like, wait, what did I get myself into?
The last name thing is, I don't play sports with these people, so I don't call them by their last name. We're not like old military buddies.
That's a good response. That's the plugs for Megan. Thank you so much for being on. Amazing guest. I also found out Mike has a family Slack. Interesting to find out. World's a new place. Thank you for checking out. You got to check this out. I'm Dre Alvarez. You can find me most places as Nerd Numbers. We have Mike Slater, MikeSlater.com, Slatron, that's Slatron, occasionally 11, but not on Blue Sky. Anything else you're going to check out, Mike?
No, not right now. I mean, Megan gave us a lot this week, so I'm going to cede it right back to her. Megan, any last words, any last plugs you thought of?
No last words or plugs. This was super fun, and now I have Babylon 5 to watch eventually.
Excellent. I do too. I'm in the middle of a 2-parter right now, so after this ends, I'm going to go finish more Babylon 5 myself.
All right. Thanks all of the listeners for listening, and for the homework for next episode, we will be watching Season 2, Episode 22 of Season 2, or officially Episode 44, The Fall of Night, with another amazing guest who maybe Mike knows the last name of or not. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next time.
Cheers all.